Our skill for the training program is based upon the AFL drop punt. The drop punt kick is a common style of kicking in football games. It is a kick where the ball is dropped from the player's hands and kicked before the ball hits the ground. The AFL punt is one of the skills which is commonly used through various stages during a game, which includes kicking or passing the ball to another player or teammate, on the mark or on the run, and when kicking for goal.
Skill classification. The drop punt is an open skill. Performer must act in according to actions being changed and at different paces. Example, kicking stationary, kicking on the run, or kicking in wet or dry conditions. The AFL punt is a discrete skill, having a distinct beginning and end point. A football kick has a start, dropping the ball, and an end point, the follow through. The AFL drop punt kick contains gross motor skills. A large muscle mass is needed to produce action of fundamental skill. It requires the muscles of the trunk, gluteus maximus, and upper leg muscles and lower leg muscles. As the AFL drop punt kick is considered a discrete skill, whole practice is most appropriate. However, in our training program, we will also be implementing part practice. Since we are teaching the skill to a cognitive learner, we will need to incorporate part practice approaches to break the skill down into the kicking phase and the run-up phase. This will ensure that the learner learns the correct motor technique, since the skill is considered to be high in complexity for a new learner. It's appropriate to break the skill into components and practice independently to reduce the attention load on the individual. However, since the components of the skill are learnt, whole practice will be needed for skill to be executed.
Based on Gentile's taxonomy of motor skills, the AFL drop punt is categorised as 4D, as the ball is being manipulated during the ball drop, regulatory conditions are in motion, so the ball is kicked into space, and you must be able to perform the drop punt in different environments. For our training program, we will measure performance with qualitative and quantitative measures. Quantitative measures, so the learner must see how many times out of 20 they can successfully hit a target at the 20-metre distance. Qualitative measure, so the learner will be assessed on how they perform the key aspects of the drop punt. This will be assessed via a rating. There are 5 stages to consider when learning how to perform a drop punt kick. Stage 1 is the approach phase. Here is where either a run-up or step forward is taken. This creates stability and balance ready for the kick to take place. Stage 2 is the backswing phase. Here, the knee flexes and the supporting arm moves out to the side to create balance. Stage 3 is the transition phase. Here is where the knee continues to flex and the leg prepares to swing forward. Stage 4 is the forward swing phase. Here is where the leg swings forward and the knee begins to extend. This also creates momentum. This phase ends when your foot makes contact with the ball. The final stage is the follow-through phase. This is where the knee begins to flex again as the leg continues to swing forward. This prevents injury. The ball grip is very important, as this sets you up for the ball drop. By holding the ball straight, this will allow you to kick the ball at the right spot, so the bottom tip of the ball, which creates that backspin. Your hands should be positioned so that your fingers are spread across the sides of the ball in line with the seam. Your thumb and index finger should be closest to the laces of the ball. By having a balanced approach, so having that one foot planted as you kick the ball is very important, as it provides balance within the motions of the drop punt kick. This will allow you to maintain your focus on guiding the ball down and prepare for the ball drop and the ball contact phase. This will increase the accuracy of the kick. Your foot should be pointed during contact and follow-through phase to allow the backspin of the ball, which increases your accuracy and distance.
We will be performing 2 tests. One test being the retention. The aim of the retention test is to determine the degree of performance level achieved during practice. Significant differences between when they first start to perform the skill and when they reach the autonomous stage shows that learning has occurred and the training was successful.
The next test is the transfer test. This will show whether previous sports will have an impact on the learner's ability to learn the drop punt. The learner plays basketball. As there are no similar skills between basketball and an AFL drop punt, there is 0 transfer between the 2 sports. The learner will start by practicing the skill stationary. Then, when comfortable, this will lead them into adding a run-up before taking the kick. Transfer will occur when you add external pressure like an opponent.
Stages of learning. There are 3 stages. The first stage is the cognitive. Learners introduce the skill in order for them to understand the technique. Many errors occur at this stage as the skill is still being learnt. In week 1, our aim is to teach the individual the ball drop from 2 hands to dropping the ball with 1 hand, while kicking the ball stationary and being able to kick the ball 10 meters away. Week 2, our aim is from kicking the ball stationary to kicking the ball on the run whilst increasing the distance to 15 meters. The second stage is the associative stage. The learner refines the skill and understands how each component of the skill works together in order to perform it. In week 3, our aim is refining the skill while kicking on the run and improving accuracy and being able to kick the ball 20 meters away. The third stage is autonomous. This stage is where the learner has mastered the skill and technique and therefore makes fewer errors. They then focus on improving other moments in the game where the skill is used. Example, when on the mark, when running away, or dodging a player. The aim: skill is mastered and is able to kick very accurately. The learner should now be able to focus on the position of opponents. The learner should be able to kick accurately at a distance of 20 meters.
Our 4-week training program will run 30 minutes 3 times a week.
Week 1. During this week, we will be teaching the learner the correct method of a ball drop. This is important as with the correct ball drop means that this will enable for the ball to spin backwards, which will improve the accuracy and distance of the kick. Once the learner has successfully understood the technique of the ball drop, the learner will then practice stationary kicking. Week 2. During this week, we will be enhancing the kicking skill with a run-on. It is important when kicking on the run, the opposite leg is planted to support your body weight. If they are unable to kick on the run, then we can slow down the skill and get the individual to kick the ball through a slow jog or a walk first. Our drill includes kicking stationary with a partner or kicking for goal. During week 3, the learner should reach the associative stage. As the learner is refining the drop punt, the skill can be further improved with drills involving accuracy training such as kicking for goal or kicking it to a target like a target on the wall or into a bin. Our drill includes kick to kick, so running up to a cone or line and kicking it to a stationary person or a person on the move. By week 4, the learner should reach the autonomous stage. The learner should be comfortable and fluent in performing the drop punt. Drills involving the use of opponents can be used to advance the skill in pressure situations like it would in a game sense situation.
Practice variability can occur in the later stages of associative learning, but more in the autonomous stage as the learner has mastered the skill. Practice variability is achieved by having a defender running at you, having a defender chasing you from behind, kicking for goal at different angles and distances, and practicing the skill in different situations and environments. An example of this would be starting off learning the skill in a closed environment and then progressing to the outdoor environment where the weather can affect the kick. This will cause a lot of errors during the initial stages of implementing variability practice, but in the future, this will increase the learner's ability to read different situations and perform the skill under pressure, which allows the development of the skill and the ability to adapt to the skill to a range of possible situations. Feedback should be given more frequently during the cognitive stages of learning, as this will guide them to understand the correct technique. Terminal feedback, which is providing feedback after the person has performed the skill, will allow the learner to focus on the specific points for when they perform the skill again. For example, if a person kicks a drop punt and completely misses the target, feedback like, make sure you keep the ball still and pointing down during ball drop, will allow the learner to correct their mistake. As the learner increases knowledge and understanding of how to perform the skill, feedback should decrease. By decreasing the amount of feedback, this will allow the learner to problem solve and correct the mistake without the guidance of someone else.
Verbal cues include tilt the ball chest up, point toe, follow through. By mastering these techniques, you can execute an efficient drop punt.